Welcome to day 6 of our series, Women Empowerment for Women in Architecture and the Built Environment. We have had a guest for the first 5 days, architect George Seguye Lubega. He's taken us through a number of topics. He's taken us through the myth that it's easier for men in architecture to make it up through the corporate ladder in the architectural practice compared to women. We saw that not really. It's a case-by-case studies, and it looks like, by the looks of it, it is hard work for every architect. Then we also considered that if one is time constrained and resource constrained, it might be better to consider undertaking a number of international certifications as opposed to taking a full degree program. For instance, a PhD will take you anything between 4 years to 8 years, depending on the university, while a certification could take you shorter, but it opens up more opportunities and you become eligible for employment in more parts of the world. For instance, we have case studied LEED as part of the US Green Building Council, and you find that there's a number of this, but we didn't showcase LEED because of the feedback that we have seen from architects who have done the course and the opportunities that have opened up for them after doing the LEED. So today is the last topic in the series, and we will be discussing what is the steps for one to enroll with the American Institute of Architects, because especially after COVID, we've realized that one has to be multi-skilled and multi-equipped. Therefore, maybe we want to consider having more certificates, more licenses to practice. For instance, if I have the AIA license, then I can not only practice in South Africa, like I've got the South African Council for Architects Profession license, but I can also then become employable in America. Then I can also become employable if I consider registering in the UK, for instance. So welcome back, George. Last day in our series, Women Empowerment for Architects, Women in Architecture. And today, take us through the AIA process and what it did for you. Over to you, George.
You know, in United States, if you have a degree from Uganda in architecture, it's really a good degree. You will get your license. Mine was evaluated and they said it exceeded their requirements. So in terms of the educational requirements, it's basic. That's not the hardest part of it. We have a board of knowledge. They have a board of knowledge which they use to make sure you become an architect. And so your education undergraduate for 5 years is just an introduction. It just helps you, kind of reduce the number of hours of, training or practicing and so forth and meeting certain requirements. But it's not the criteria. So during the licensing, I will teach you everything. You learn everything. When you approach a building, the way you lay out your parking, the way you get inside the building, whether there's handicap accessibility, whether the door is fire rated, where there are fire corridors, all those are terms we use, to make sure in case of fire, people have a way they can get out of the building. So they teach you everything. By teaching you, I mean they have study manuals and books you read, and you reference and prepare yourself for the exams. You have to know how to manufacture glass, the type of glass you use in buildings, whether it's tempered glass, float glass, fire-resistant glass, whether it's heat-soaked glass, all sorts of names, laminated glass, everything. You're going to learn it. You're going to learn everything about cement. You're going to learn everything about stainless steel, whether it's grade 316 or grade 304, which type you use where. You're going to learn about aluminum. Everything you're gonna go through it. And then you're gonna prepare for your exams. You're gonna prepare for that's building construction exams that deals with the materials. Then in addition to that, they're gonna teach you the specifications you're gonna use, how to write them, part 1 spec, part 2, part 3, and what it all entails. So they're gonna teach you the structures of a building, the type of structure systems you use and why and how. So ideally what I'm saying is that there a license as a body of knowledge. They want to make sure you got and you understand very well. And the moment you sit those exams, you'll be so shocked. You realize that you are not an architect. I used to argue with architects there because I thought I was one until I started exams. It took me 6 months reading through all the information, then another year to start sitting the exams one by one. You prepare for it for like a month and a half and then sit. So the body of knowledge creates a standard that is accepted around the world. The American Institute of Architects has been here for 164 years. The Royal Institute of British Architects in the UK has been there around 180-something years. Now, they also have a body of knowledge that they're making sure you meet to become a licensed architect. So right now, I'm just talking about the American Institute of Architects, so you kind of get an understanding of what happens. So now, because you've gone through that body of knowledge, they've shown you how to design their things, the type of materials we use in buildings, the structure systems and engineering, the building and mechanical systems, whether it's elevators, moving walks you see on airports, the type of toilets we use in public areas like power flush, and then the ones used at home, which are just, tank type toilets, everything. The building management systems we use in buildings, you go through everything. Then you pass the exams, then you're licensed. Now that's the standard you get. The AIA, the National Council of Architecture Registration Board, gave you the examinations. Then you are admitted into being a member of the American Institute of Architects. So as soon as I went through the exams, I realized, and everything, the design was so weak in the sense that just going back to the exams, there was one of the exams for designing. You sit in front of a computer for 4.5 hours, you're designing a certain building. They've explained in a brief. And in that 4.5 hours, after you finish the design, they get it there, they will know that you're an architect, that you can design. They will know you are not one, you will fail the exam. Then in that after the 4.5 hours, you have 45 minutes designing an interior space for an office. And that one doing just 45 minutes with a special software you had to learn before you went for the exams. So I think that's the portion where I found that the Royal Institute of British Architects and the Architecture Registration Board in UK is superior with theirs. Theirs is very, home-based, with criteria you have to submit and then, respond to a few things. And then it's very interesting. Both systems are a bit different, but they're very, very important and very good. So if you can get one of those or both, internationally, the opportunities will be there.
Thank you so much, George, for taking us through the steps for the license registration for the American Institute of Architects. Really interesting, and what it does for anyone who enrolls and applies and actually takes the exams for the American Institute of Architects. This is Innovative African Women Architects, bringing you, among others, mentorships for women in architecture, short snippets from architects around Africa on what they have learned and what you probably want to know about staying ahead of the game as a woman in architecture. Remember, there are things that stop with us. Failing studio as an architecture student stops with us. Stopping your architecture practice because of this reason and that reason stops with that generation. We're making it easier. We're making it different for the generation to come in. Women in architecture. Stay tuned for more of our series. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. We can't wait to see you again on our next show.